To share this with you because you'll see exactly what we Yorubas are made of. That's what has guided, did guide, is supposed to guide everything we do, including parenting. The story is going to be very short. In Etiogbe, Oromila, it was revealed to him that when Olodumare, the only God of Yoruba people, we don't have anything called idols. If you ever hear the word Orisha, it means those who are gifted. So, according to that revelation, Oromila, it was revealed to him that when Almighty God had completed the task of this world, he decided to invite the Spirit of the Truth and said, "Dear Spirit of Truth, I have now completed the work on this earth, so beautiful. Now I shall send you or someone else to go and enjoy that beautiful world. But I think I ought to create human beings." So Olodumare, Almighty God, consulted the Spirit of Truth and asked the question, "Shall I create human beings?" The Truth said, "Dear God, forget them. They shall come to this earth and destroy." And did the same with Honesty. Honesty said the same thing. Until dear God asked Mercy, Anu asked Mercy and said, "Dear Mercy, now that this beautiful world is there, I'm going to create human beings. Shall I do so?" Mercy, Anu said, "Dear Olodumare, create them. I shall follow them to this world and make this world a better place." So, Olodumare, Almighty God, sent human beings, Spirit of Truth, Honesty, and Mercy to this world. Those are the three things that are supposed to guide the life of Yoruba people. I'm sure it's not the same for the others, but I'm giving evidence on what I know. Honesty, truth, and mercy. Any parent who hasn't got those three, I hope you'll agree with me that parent has got a serious problem. And there's no morality that you can say exists without those three. Because without those three, there can be nothing called love. If you're not true to yourself, if you're not honest with yourself, if you're not merciful, there's no way in which you can actually want to be seen as a mother. There's a Yoruba adage which says, "Komore teach your child so that you shall have peace." I have shared with you a little insight into what historically should be guiding we Yorubas. Ifa is what should be guiding us. That every parent about time should be teaching their children. No religion is not a religion. Ancient wisdom that guided our ancestors before the white man came. And since the white man came, we've had nothing but upside down. I shan't blame the white man only. The other thing we need to be aware of is that we Yorubas, many of us would learn by just seeing what's going on around us. Generally, if it's a mother, when the mother is going to the market, takes the child along. If it's a father, likewise. And how valuable are our children before our children are born? In fact, the parents, we consult Ifa on the mother and the father to make sure they are compatible before we will allow them to marry, let alone to bring forth to this world children that may present difficulties. So we prepare before the child gets here. Failing to plan is planning to fail. Many of us leave Nigeria without planning. And we arrive here with 5 children. And we say that we cannot fit the children in here. Which sadly I have to go straight on to Damilola Taylor. That people like myself campaigned heavily about. After 3 months, he found himself stabbed to death on the streets of Great Britain. That young man was brought up well from Nigeria. He was brought up well by his parents. But he found himself amongst children not brought up well, black on black crime. So when Madam was talking to me about youth crime, I asked did the Nigerian children become criminals? Let me say to you, whatever is working at all is working well. When Lola Taylor was killed, a lot began to happen to our children in this country in the hands of fellow black young people. And now most of them have now got into crime and gangs. I told you what if I told me, thou shalt tell the truth, thou shalt be honest, and thou shalt be merciful to yourself, because without mercy, I think that mercy means be merciful to this world by telling the truth. The parents from Yoruba land often arrive in this country in most cases not because they are well prepared. Often they are not prepared at all, which is different from the white man. When the white man goes to Nigeria, the white man will do research. And as far as the state is concerned, the state lacks the capacity to understand what the issues are for either the parents or the child. So, from Yoruba point of view, the backdrop of who we are, I've told you that morality is there. Those three things are crucial. We expect our young ones to behave well because we would have been brought up well too. And we expect it to impact. So, mentoring should be there. Community tend to rear our children back home. Here we don't have the community. Out there, you'll find people who've got nanny, or shall I call them house girls, this, that. Or in fact, as it is expected in our society. When I had my first child in this country, my mother-in-law flew in the day I had the baby. And that's the norm. Grandparents are there to support. Is that easy nowadays? A lot of our young ones now will marry even before their parents know they've gone out with anyone. Morality. So let's say we must set standard for who we are. Your identity determines who you are. I will repeat, there's nothing called a Nigerian culture. There is a geographical area called Nigeria. And we must embrace the different culture that exists within it so that we don't get our world confused. I spent some time in the north where Islam is well rooted. And if you compare the north with Lagos, a former slave camp, you will see there's a remarkable difference in the level of morality that you have in Lagos and that you have in the north. Because in Lagos, the Yoruba land, we have got ourselves mixed up with so many alien religions that we begin to lose who we are. It's not working. Whereas, for whatever reason, out in the north, Islam seems to be working for them. Forget Boko Haram or no Boko Haram. So let's say we have moved away from the ways of our ancient ancestors in the West, otherwise known as Yoruba. We say we go to church, the pastors there. A lot of the children don't come out as they do. You know why? Parents have left parenting to the pastor. Is it the pastor that gave birth to your child? They've left it to the imam. They will say they are working. Excuse me, the tradition is when you marry, you forget work. Please, you want to marry, you want to work. By the way, my parents came here in the 50s. They want to marry, they want to go to work, they want to have a good car, they want to wear expensive lace, they want to wear big jewelry. That wasn't the way of our ancestors. Mind you, self-employment made that possible. If you can get yourself self-employment, then of course you can manage all that. But keeping 10 balls in the air was possible in the days of our ancient ancestors because we never worked with no one, worked for no one. We worked for ourselves mostly. And our men were responsible. They knew their responsibilities to go and bring money for us to be taken care of. Nowadays, the women want to be equality of opportunity. There's nothing wrong in that. I'm one of those. But you asked me to talk about Yoruba culture. The Yoruba infrastructure for the family. The man must be a proper man. Don't marry a man that cannot cater for your needs and yet want children. I see too many. They consult me, They consult me. The man they want to marry doesn't even want them either, but they must have a husband by force. That's not the Yoruba way. Is it? So, let's say the foundation must be right. If morality will be right, the foundation must be right for a child that is going to turn out like earlier on. Prince, where are your children over there? I was sitting down here, and when the guests came, yes, they were born. Please get up. They were born here. They got up straight without any problem. Put your hands together for them. So please, let's make it quite clear. Let's be well rooted in our identity. Nigeria. You know the Igbos, they pay plenty money before you marry their wife, but is that not so? So you don't marry their daughters, and then you are not able to get out for the children. Let's get the logic right. Who will understand all of that? I'm trying to. So I know. Watch the way in which the Northerners have their marriages. They don't just pick somebody up and say, I can marry you. So let's say if we have problem with our children, environmental issues within our own family setting is a big issue. One, know your identity. Be well rooted in your identity. Refer to the ways in which your ancestors conducted themselves. They may not have done it the perfect way, but trust me, you may need to improve upon that. If you go and marry who is not able to cater for your needs and you find yourself in real difficulty, there may be needs to adjust. You may also marry somebody who can cater for you, but there may be problems. But there are certain infrastructure, certain templates which will give a child the security the child needs. A lot of our women nowadays, they just want a husband. How the children will be catered for? No, they don't know. So, our men, if our children will be well taken care of, our men must be proper men. That's the Yoruba way. Yes, sir. Proper men. Yes, sir. Not the man that is going to say electricity is gone. Where's your share? Where's your share? The mortgage come. Where's your share? My husband used to every Friday leave over there for me. Yes, chop money. In fact, it is prohibited for a Yoruba man not to give chop money, although many of them don't give chop money nowadays. They say it is the Western way. How many Yoruba men give chop money here? Raise up your hand, let me see you. Thank you, clap for them. You give chop money to yes. So, the point I'm trying to make is, within our tradition, within our custom, within our heritage, we have got reference points on the basis of which to create the right environment for the morality we need for our children, for the way we seek for them to be conducted, and we would mentor what we expect of them. And it is by mentoring what we expect of them, we can stand tall and say, don't steal, don't steal, the father has already stolen Nigerian money and is here. Don't steal, the mother is already stealing black bags from work. When the mother comes back from work, the bag is full of the black bags they've stolen from the cleaning or whichever office they are doing. So, let us say, a parent must be a good mentor. A parent must be responsible. And that includes clarity about who you are. rántí ọmọ ẹni tí ìwọ ṣe. Thou shalt know the son or daughter whom you are. On that note, ladies and gentlemen, I want to end up by saying, Kila ń fọ́ bá pé ọba láṣẹ ọba. Kila ń fọ́ bá pé ọba láṣẹ. Kábíyèsí o. Kábíyèsí o. Kábíyèsí o.
Lovely. Please put those hands together.